So my April through June fitness challenge has gone a little wonky. What's shaking bacon? My name is Bruno Panucci, and I've been doing this carnivore diet now for about a year and a third. Consistently, I've been doing it on and off for about a few years before that, and extremely low carb since about 2013 on and off. So in total, I've been down 150 pounds, but surprisingly shocking update, I've gone up 20 pounds in the last few weeks. Now I'm going to explain why that happened. With this new fitness challenge I've been doing, I was having 4 pounds of lean ground beef a day. So I typically stick with ground beef because it's just easy to measure out. If I have a steak, it's a little more work and it's not the same lean, fat to protein ratio. So I typically try and stick with lean ground beef. Now, about over 3 weeks ago, I switched over to regular ground beef. And the interesting thing about that was I kept up my 4 pounds of food intake for the day, every single day. And it was pretty easy to do. But I noticed this last week, as I mentioned in my last video, on Monday and Tuesday, or I think it was Tuesday and Wednesday, I found it really difficult to get in my 4 pounds. I was actually very full at my 3 pounds of regular ground beef in a day. So my 3 pounds of regular ground beef is just regular grocery store meat. It's not antibiotic free, hormone free like the lean ground beef I was getting whenever I order my cow. So I was getting it for $3 a pound. I bought a bunch of it on sale. I thought it would be interesting to see how I adapted to regular ground beef versus lean ground beef, knowing that it was going to be a much higher fat percentage. So it's closer to an 80-20 ratio. So it's almost like keto portions this way. I'm closer to an 80% fat intake and 20% protein intake. So that was the diet end of the program that I had started in April and moved all the way through June. And I might still expand it into July because I really enjoy this. The 3 meals a day is a little more work, but the goal of it was to lower my appetite, not in the amount I was getting in a day so much, but the amount I was getting per meal, because I can easily eat a lot of food and it's kind of expensive to eat that way. And it's not that I'm trying to, I've just been eating to the point where I'm satiated. And it was typically 6 pounds of meat a day. So when I went down to a 4 pounds of meat a day challenge, I thought, okay, we'll see how I do. Because if I get too little food intake, I just don't sleep well. My energy's off. I get brain fog. And when I switched over to the 4 pounds of lean ground beef a day, I was doing okay. I noticed when I switched to the regular ground beef, my sleep got way better. Now, the interesting thing about that is I weighed myself a few days into it and I was 319 pounds on my scale, not the medical grade scale I get done when I go for my BOD-POD or DEXA scan exams. And so I expected to be off by a couple pounds. I wasn't sure exactly how it compared to those medical grade scales. So when I weighed myself at 319, I thought, okay, makes sense. My weight loss has been going pretty slow, but I've been keeping and maintaining my lean mass. So that's always been the goal because I've been doing an exercise regime. And I'll get into that in a minute. That was about 3 weeks ago I weighed myself. Now I weighed myself this week. I think it was Thursday. Yeah, it was Thursday, just a couple days ago, and I was at 339 pounds. I couldn't believe it. I was like, no way. I went off the scale. I went back on it, and 339 pounds. I turned the scale off, turned it back on again, 339 pounds. And I thought, I went up 20 pounds in 3 weeks. Now, all this regular ground beef I've been getting for the last few weeks has clearly had an impact. Now, I haven't had a chance to see what my lean mass to body fat percentage ratios are because I don't have my next BOD-POD exam set up for another few weeks, but I'm going to move it up. I'm going to do one this week because I'm really curious. I don't mind that I put on the 20 pounds because the goal has been a fitness challenge, not a fat loss challenge. The fat loss I know comes along with it anyway. It's just more about fitness and increasing my lean mass and my metabolism and making a stronger metabolism. There's a whole slew of benefits that comes when you have a nice strong metabolism, and that's been the goal of this since my last challenge I did from last September to January 1st. So this is pretty intriguing because being up 20 pounds in just a few weeks, probably under 3 weeks of eating this regular ground beef, Now, that's a lot of weight to put on in just a couple weeks. So the interesting thing about that was the next day, just out of curiosity, because I don't plan on making a habit of this. I haven't looked at the scale today, but Thursday was the first day I looked at my scale when I was up 20 pounds. Friday, I looked at it again. And here was the interesting thing. I could only get 2 pounds of regular ground beef. I find 3 pounds of regular ground beef in a day is already starting to push it for me. And I might have to go down. Now, I will not go down to 2 pounds a day because I want to keep a certain amount of lean mass up. And I need a certain amount of protein to do that. So I need to get at least 200 grams of proteins. So I can't drop below 2.5 pounds of ground beef in a day. But I find when I have a pound of ground beef at breakfast and then lunch and then dinner, which is really only the size of my fist. It sounds like a lot to everyone out there, but it's really not that much, especially if you're not having any carbs in your diet. And don't forget, I'm 6'1". I'm a big guy. I have a lot of lean mass on me. My lean mass is about 190 pounds. So I need at least 190 grams of protein. Now, I'm also 47 years old, so that means my protein requirements have gone up because we just don't absorb as much protein the older we get. So the cool thing about this, the reason why I'm not worried about my weight is my waistline hasn't gone up. I mentioned in my last video that if anything, I've gone down 1/2 inch. So when I checked out the scale the next day and found out I was up 20 pounds, I thought, okay, now this is really neat. I'm not up in my waist. I'm actually down 1/2 inch or maybe 1 inch in my waist, but I'm up 20 pounds. I can't be up 20 pounds of lean mass. That's just pretty crazy. And the fact that I dropped, from 339 to 332 shows that I can't lose that much lean mass in just a day. So I'm really curious to see what this exam is going to say about my lean mass and body fat percentage. So I want to find out what this medical grade bod pod exam says about my lean mass and my body fat percentage. Now, the exercising that I've been doing has been every second day has been a weight routine, and every other day has been a HIIT workout. Now, I sometimes do a ski erg, but I do a HIIT workout on the ski erg. How do you do a HIIT workout on a steady state cardio machine? You go really intense, and then you go really easy. And then once you've caught your breath, you go really intense again, and then you go really easy. You just repeat that for the 15 to 20 minutes you do that. So my goal has been a 20-minute HIIT workout. Now, I also use a program called Seconds Pro, which I plan on doing a review with. And this is a program where that you can program yourself in your phone, and it gives you a regime of what kind of exercises you're going to do. So for 20 seconds, I do push-ups. Then for 20 seconds, I do lunges. And then for 20 seconds, I do squats. And then I give a rest time of 30 seconds, and then I repeat that. And I do that 10 sets. So it's a pretty interesting workout regime. I have a warm-up in there in the beginning and partway through the middle, which I've gotten rid of because I really don't need it anymore. I'm huffing and puffing pretty early through it. I can handle this workout, and it's a fun workout, and I have different exercises I can incorporate into that, so it's not always that routine. So that's my weight training end of things. So I haven't been doing deadlifts because my SI joint's been bothering me, and I will still get a good leg exercise in there because I'm doing leg press. So I'm making sure my glutes and my quads and my calves and hamstrings are still getting a really good workout, including my adductors on the inside of the thighs. So I have just under 2 months left of this challenge, and so I've had to adapt it already after the first month of 4 pounds of lean ground beef. Once I switched to regular, I'm down to 3 pounds of regular ground beef a day. So I've already gone down 1 pound of ground beef in my day-to-day intake. So some people will argue it's not about the calories. It's as much about the calories as the hormones, depending on the person. For some people, it might be more about the hormones. For some people, it might be more about the calories. But you have to keep in mind, they both apply. I've talked about this in other videos. Both are really important. It's just which one do you have to focus on? Some people just don't get enough calories. Some people get too many calories. I was clearly getting a lot of calories, even with all my activity. My resting metabolic rate is somewhere between 3,700 and 4,000 calories after my daily activities. So I was getting an extra 1,500 calories a day eating this way with my regular ground beef. So my new plan, diet-wise, is going to be shooting for 3 pounds of meat a day. Now, I honestly feel like I can get away with 1 pound, but I'm not going to do that to myself. yes, I would probably lose a lot more weight, but I would also lose a lot of lean mass. And that's not what I want. I'd rather have a slow weight loss than a rapid weight loss and build that lean mass up afterwards. It's going to be really tough to do. So my minimum I'm going to get in a day is hopefully 2.5 pounds. The whole point of this is I'm listening to my body. I've tried shrinking my stomach and it seems to have worked. So for this year's challenge, it's been about shrinking my stomach. If somebody can have 6 pounds of meat a day, and trust me, I've always had a large appetite, it's nice to bring that down to a more regular appetite where I can have 1 pound, my fist. Your stomach should be the size of your fist. And when I have 1 fist worth of protein and fat, that's exactly the size I want my stomach to be. And it's nice that I'm finding it filling because I used to have 2 pounds in a sitting. So it's really nice. I like the direction this is going in, even though my weight went up. That's going to come off. I'm not worried about that. That could really stress some people out and make some people panic and even go off this way of eating. I look at something like this and I don't get discouraged by it. I look and I go, okay, one, this is a learning experience. This is something I'm doing to myself that not only I will learn from, but you can learn from. And I like the idea that I'm going to be able to apply this and help other people with this one day. I'm not worried about that weight coming off. I'm really not. It's going to come off fast, especially with all the activity I'm doing. But it's going to be really neat to see how my body adjusts to this. In a sense, this is a working experiment. I'm applying this to my day-to-day life and seeing how it goes. The weight loss is the second goal. The first goal is repairing my metabolism. And this is part of the process. You have to understand a big part of this is trusting the process. It's always going to be a bit of an experiment and you might have to tweak it here and there all the way along your carnivore journey. But you have to trust the process because how do I know this is working well? Because I feel good. I feel great. All the exams I've been doing, my numbers are looking good, both with my blood work that I've had done as well as with my bod pod exams, showing me my lean mass and my body fat percentage. I'm really going to back off of these DEXA scans because a DEXA scan is full body x-ray. And it turns out you should really only get a DEXA scan once every couple years, not a few times a year. So I did 3 DEXA scans in 1 year. So I'm going to take a year's break from the last one I had done in January, and I'll wait till next January to see it again. Quite frankly, I'm a bigger fan of the bod pod anyway. And I'm going to talk to Debbie, the person who does the bod pod exams, to see if she can give a little interview and explain how the bod pod works to people. I think that'd be a pretty neat thing to do for the channel. And hopefully I can do that next week when I see her. We can sit down and talk about that. We're going to go over my calories. I'm going to do a screenshot and show everyone what I was getting in calories in a day and what I'm getting now in a day. So let's get into the screen recording. Okay, so if we look here, I have 1 pound of lean ground beef for my food, and that's 939 calories. If we look at the calories, my nutrients, 1 pound has 91 grams of protein. The macros, it's a 61% fat and a 39% protein. The 4 pounds of meat I was getting in a day, so it's 3,756 calories. So that's what I was getting every day for almost the first month I was doing this. Now, I'm just going to go to the next day. I just put these numbers in here. These don't reflect the actual days I was doing this way of eating. So 1 pound of regular ground beef, we can see is 1,315 calories. So for about 2.5 weeks of that, almost 3 weeks, I was getting 4 pounds. Turned out to be 5,262 calories I was getting. So that's pretty amazing. Now, I was working out through that. So that's easily 1,200 to 1,400 calories more than I needed in a day. So that explains where the weight gain came from. If we look at the macros, it's a 78% fat diet. So that's getting close to keto numbers there. Now, I'm not trying to do that, but I find this is a good way to go because I'm getting full off less. And I really like that. I want to bring my appetite down. So the smaller portion sizes and multiple meals a day really helps that. So for the nutrition, I was getting 290 grams of protein, which is probably about 90 grams more than I need in a day. For calories, so let's bring this down to what I'm getting right now. At 3 pounds of ground beef in a day, of regular ground beef, that's closer to where I should be right now at 4,000 calories a day, just under 4,000 calories a day. So that's not bad for where I am. So it's funny how I'm still full off of that. There might be the odd day where I can't get that in because I do find it difficult. And when I look at the nutrition end of it, that's 218 grams of protein. So I don't want to go much lower than this. So if I go down to 2.5 pounds in a day of regular ground beef, my protein is going to be a little shy that day. So I'm trying to keep away from doing that. So even though I'm not counting calories, it is good to keep an eye on them. I'm also not paying too much attention to the scale, but I am keeping an eye on it. It's not like I'm adjusting my regime around my weight gain or weight loss. Otherwise, I would have just cut my calories down to 1 pound or 2 pounds of meat a day. That's not the goal with this. So I would like to thank everyone for tuning into this journey. It's interesting to see how this journey kind of deviated a little bit here, but overall it's been a really good experience. Hopefully you can learn from it as much as I'm learning from it and learn what to do and maybe what not to do. Everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to have slightly different goals. It's always good to learn from other people, and whenever you need to ask any questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section. I really appreciate you tuning into this. Thanks a lot and take care.